Good morning, everyone, again. Good morning. Good morning to those who will watch the recorded presentation online. We are planning to record this presentation and email to those who are not here today for good reason or for weather reason. It is important for us to never lose sight of the big picture of the reasons why we do the things we do, and to have the appropriate attitude, approach, and state of heart and mind when we build a church. It is important that as we go through the process of designing, as we go through the process of fundraising, as we go through the process of building, we'll do it in a mature way, always reflecting on the importance and the spiritual significance of our endeavor. Just like an iconographer prays and fasts during the painting of an icon, we should also individually as a family do this journey in a prayerful, reflective, spiritually mature manner. So today, hopefully, we'll cover three main topics. I'm going to show you the concept design that has been prepared for us. Then we will give you an update on the challenge from Bob and Teresa Underwood. And we'll briefly talk about the next few steps. So, if I was to ask you, I'm going to write you a check to build your whole church. If you answer me, why do you want a new church? Why do we build a new church? What would you say? What's the first thing that comes to mind if I was to write a check to build it? Tell me in one sentence, why do you want a new church, a new sanctuary?
A place of worship.
A place of worship. And that's the very first reason why I had this. There you go, Sharon. Exactly word by word. This is very important. We want to grow. We want to reach out. We want to share our faith. But above all, we have to remember, we do this for the glory of God. We don't build an office building. We don't build a house. We build a house of worship. That's the most important element of our endeavor. Never ever forget this. We may be tempted to forget it when we deal with technicalities and with technical details, but ultimately we build a house of worship. Why do you want to build a church? If I was to write a check today, why do you want to build a church here in Traverse City for your Archangel Gabriel?
I want a spiritual home in this part of the country for us.
For whom?
For all the Orthodox Christians.
Okay.
Part of the country, because until we started our mission church, we didn't have a presence in Northern Michigan.
So it is...
Spread the word.
Spread the word. Who said that? Carrie, thank you. The second one is witness. Right? This is not self-serving. And finally, see, it's the third reason why we want the church, is the outreach. So we have to always keep in mind that above all, we build a church to worship God, to experience heaven on earth. That's what drives us. That's what inspires us. That's what motivates us. That's what will make us successful. Secondly, we are given a tremendous amount of blessings and a rich tradition. We are representing 2,000 years of Christian tradition. So it is our responsibility to witness to it. And thirdly, we cannot forget the Great Commission. Go therefore, teach them everything that I commanded to you. That's our calling. And then baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So I think even before we talk about buildings, colors, materials, size, utilitarian, things like that, we have to have in mind why we want to build a church. We want to build a place of worship where, like the emissaries, the Russian emissaries said, they did not know whether they were in heaven or on earth. Remember the conversion of Russia? Then we want to witness the richness and the beauty of our tradition. is to say, build and they will come. If we build a community, if we build a sanctuary, they will grow. We'll be able to reach out to people who need Christ in their lives, people who may be in a church but they're not satisfied, people who are not never in a church and they hunger for what we have to offer. So, with that in mind, for the last few months, we really struggled taking that concept, looking at the emails and the notes and the letters we got from people in our parish, discussing with artists, with Orthodox people, with Protestants. So we try to understand what kind of designing concept would work best. So as I said today, we basically scratched out everything we had, most of it, and we went back to the drawing board. And between my brother and I, we exchanged many emails, and we spent countless hours on the phone discussing. I mean, we start from scratch. Take a pencil, put it on a paper, talk about concepts, talk about a message, talk about the metaphor, talk about traditional worship in a modern life. That's our motto. That's what we identify ourselves with. We came down to defining what it is that we want to transmit. What's the message? A building has to say something. That's number one in any artistic endeavor. If your art doesn't say something, doesn't make you feel something, it's meaningless. So we said, why don't we say, keeping some traditional elements, the idea of God embracing us as a community. So we achieved this by shaping a concept. This is from an aerial picture from above. So if you see, you have the classic Byzantine dome with the two sides, almost like two hands embracing the church. Do you see it? The little two hands right here, and the traditional church here. And you'll see how this was resolved to maintain the flow of the message. Then we identify ourselves as the green church. Everything we do, from the blessing of the waters, to the organic garden, to the worship on the property in the summer with the Vespers. And we are the apostles for a green church. In the Orthodox Church, and in the Christian church, and in the local community. That's the identity that we have developed. So we maintain, the one element we maintain from the original concept was this way of bringing the environment respecting the building, and the building respecting the environment, in a way that the complex blends into the beautiful place we have on US 31, so we can take advantage of both the architecture but also the natural beauty around us. And we said, and I'll go back, you'll see bigger pictures, don't try to understand the whole concept here, we'll go bigger pictures. We said we want to be relevant to the modern life. We live in a place that is very mature from the artistic point of view. In Traverse City, people appreciate good art. In Traverse City, people appreciate good taste. From wine, to food, to architecture, to everything. So we have to speak their language. But remain loyal to the beauty, the integrity, and the richness of the Orthodox tradition. So, with this one, again, this you can see the divine embrace, the sides going and almost embracing the whole community, and the whole complex kind of blending into the environment. Without any further delay, this is what Plaza Design proposes as the second concept. The elements, I'm going to let you look at it first. We stepped away from the traditional Byzantine cross shape because there wasn't a good solution to respect the township height limits. There's a 34 feet height limit to buildings, and we couldn't resolve that, and I think this works much better because the lower part is very modern. We integrated some glass, the shape, but the elements, the traditional Byzantine elements, are elevated. So if you think of the metaphor here, the modern is present, is inviting, but elevates the traditional. We try to pay attention to the two axes, the horizontal and the vertical. We want it to be light on the property. In the same time, we wanted to connect the vertical axis. Ultimately, this is a place of worship. So I think we achieved this successfully with the glass base of the dome. And inside, you'll see this is the place where we have the icon of Christ, the Pantocrator, the Almighty. So we have the vertical axis being almost elevated or almost floating. And then you have the traditional Orthodox dome. And this is the altar, and these are the two sides. And you'll see there are many pictures here that we can explore various sides. The back, if you remember the aerial picture of the two arms embracing, this was, I think, was very successfully resolved by these two cylinders, which from the aerial are the two hands, but here this flows and embraces the whole structure. We still have the drop-off area for practical reasons. Cars are able to drive here and drop off people. But we'll talk about this in a little bit. This is the concept, and we'll have pictures. You'll have plenty of opportunity to really absorb and then provide the feedback. We have kept the blending with the sod cover. However, in order to emphasize the fact that there is a building there, a beautiful Michigan building, we broke the sod, the curve a little bit, with some wood structure, very minimal, so it doesn't become a maintenance item for us, but to include some specific Michigan elements into the environment. The church does not have the final materials of it. That's something important to remember, because I think last time people thought that, oh, it's going to be completely white. There are countless options for us to play with the volume, with textures, with light colors, we can play with details later. But these are, as again, it is just a concept. Then this is the church integrated in the complex. And this is the back. What we try to do here is to really take advantage of the beautiful and inspirational view of the East Bay. We created a little terrace here that is connected to the community hall through large French doors, the tall ones. These doors open all sides, and it creates a flow between the outdoors and indoors. Probably we'll ultimately build some kind of terrace in front of here with some landscape, but the idea right now is to create a flow. You come here, you get dropped off, go in the church, then the church is connected with an open area for the bookstore, and we'll talk about it later. Then this is the office area, and this is the community area, community hall area. As you notice from the previous concept, we elevated the ceiling to be more formal and to be more appropriate for larger events. So if we raise a little bit the camera, we have kept the green roof. This doesn't mean that it has to be sod. That doesn't mean that we'll pass a sign-up sheet for who gets on the roof to mow the lawn. This is our axis. This is the horizontal axis that we have to be light on the environment. It can be some ground cover, which is very low maintenance, or there are countless of options. We are just not there yet. The bells are over the main entrance because we felt last time we had a tower as an anchor for the property. We felt that now, this time around, because we have this tall structure, this acts and works like an anchor for itself. We may not need a bell tower. There were some attempts to see if a bell tower is still needed, and we are still not reached a final conclusion. We may or may not add a bell tower. Regardless if we have the tower or not, we will definitely have the bells. So this was, I think, a very creative, modern way to resolve these bells. Again, a little different angle for the front of the church. This is from the highway, yes. People will come through here. The main entrance is somewhere here. We'll have an option to go to Lot A, which has a lot of handicapped accessible lots. The drop-up area will be here. If people need to come to the community hall, or let's say we have a wedding there, or we have an event, people are able to just drive and have use the entrance to the community hall. Or this is the office area and the Sunday school and the bookstore, and we'll talk about the layout of the rooms. Again, you see on the community hall we have placed some solar panels because we will be using them as part of our statement to have a green approach and to be, if possible, self-sustainable and to really serve as a role model for different churches and different communities, religious and non-religious. If you notice, the terrace is at the same level with the church. You have 2 steps, 3 steps. So the flow works either outdoors or indoors. This area is connected throughout its space. And another look from front view. The dome there is the altar area. Another picture from the side. Okay. Another one from the side, from the back. Now we lower it and we have a ground level view. So people will have options to go in the church through the drop-off area, through the main entrance, through the office area. And the flow, actually there's a nice picture, aerial picture, of the interior. Now, you know, this is the sanctuary, right? Any questions so far? Now, if we go at the traffic flow and at the interior design of the church, this is the drop-off area, just to kind of give you some idea or some hints where the layout is. This is the main entrance from the back, and this connects to the office area, to the community hall and office area. And this is the narthex. This is with the candle stand. This is where we keep the kuvuklion. Now, for those of you who don't know, the kuvuklion is a nice big wooden the tomb of Christ that we carry around for Good Friday with a epitaph on it. So that one is in the churches is being displayed year round. So it's a nice place to display it. And this is so people will come in. The role of the narthex is to kind of be a transitional point between the world and the church. People leave the worldly cares so that they may receive the King of all. So the narthex is a very important space for people to enter, to understand it's a transitional stage. They light the candle, they venerate the icon, they believe the codes, whatever. But the moment they enter into the sanctuary, the transition has to be impactful. So that's why the space is very important. Now this is the solea. The solea is the space in front of the altar. Usually it's marble or wood or whatever material you decide. Then the bishop throne is here, the chanter stand is here, the baptismal font is here. This is the icon screen. This is the altar. Now if you remember the previous picture, the altar had a dome. Let me just show you. Oops. See the dome there? Now you kind of see this one. That's the white dome from outside. And these are two windows. And of course there will be probably a cross in front for the light to shine through. The altar table. The altar boy area is right here with the altar boy with what we have now, with their vestments, with their robes. And this is the area for the priest for my vestments. And so basically these are more utilitarian spaces here. But when we entered the church, I think it was a nice gesture to go into the narthex, and then when you go in the church, to open into a different space, like this. So remember the entrance with the narthex. You come in and you see, the first thing you see, the Mother of God, the Protectress, then the icon screen, and of course you'll have iconography, you'll have the Pantocrator on the dome, and you have a nice story with a light. You have Christ, the Almighty on top, you have glass to the light will come through, and then you have the four axles on which that cupola, the dome sits, and we can put the four evangelists, or the iconography completes the message. And then this is the inside, you're facing the altar, and then facing the entrance, this is what people would see. So if you remember, these are the two cylinders. Remember, right? This one is one cylinder there. You have the main entrance there. You have the side entrance there. You have the side entrance there. And actually what we did to completely utilize the space, we did create a loft there with access on the stairs to complete, and then may work with some wood or with some iconography that warms up the whole space. I haven't discussed with the choir yet, but if they do want there, that it can be a choir loft. If the choir prefers to be on the main level, we can create a space for the choir either in the back or in the front, or these are still movable parts that we haven't finalized yet. As I promised, I'm not going to make any decisions before consulting with you and really listening to your preferences. If we decide to go with the choir there, I'm fine. If we don't, we can leave it as a loft we can even we can close, almost make it like a cry room for children to be there and see what's going on in the church at all times without being, just have a very, very good perspective on what is going on in the church. In this current configuration, and actually I'm going to show you the floor plan in a second, we are at 190 seats as it stands right now. One thing that I mentioned earlier is the height limitation of the township. I'm not going to go into great detail, but this just to give you an example how local rules change and alter a design. The rule of Acme Township is that the building is not allowed to be higher than 34 feet. The churches are granted an exception from that, can be higher than 34 feet as long as the surface higher than 34 feet is less than 20% of total roof area. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So a dome can be higher. The whole church cannot be higher than 35. So the reason why we have this elevation is and you probably don't see the numbers from there, but this is 0, this ground level. This is 20 feet, 25 feet to the edge of the roof, so that's well below the limits. So it's 25 feet. Then 44 feet is up to here, 55 is up to here, and I think it goes to 65, 68 feet total height up to the cross. That was something that we wanted to keep in mind. This is again the way we discussed it and we intended it. The main statement has to be the church. The community hall has to blend in the environment, and this aerial shot really proves the point, and I think it's been quite successfully resolved. I will not go into detail about the floor plan. You'll have it available. Actually, I had it, but basically this is the church. We will look at it. So you come into a nice open area that leads out to the terrace for reading. If you want to sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee there and just read a book, that's where the bookstore will be, with some nice displays with things like that. Then the restrooms are here. We wanted to include a bride's room for weddings that is connected to the women's restroom. We have a conference room, the priest's office, the secretary office. We have 3 Sunday school classroom. We had in mind multifunctional rooms. We do not want to say this is a Sunday school room and we cannot use it, or this is a conference room. We can, if we need, we can remove the 2 walls between the rooms and make a large room, like a large media room if we need it. Or the conference room can be used as something else. Thank you. And then you go in this open area, then you have some technical space, kitchen, whatever you would expect from a hall. I've already kind of contacted Eric from Cook's House to offer some pointers. I talked to Paul from Uptown. So it's a long journey of learning, really, for us. And then this is the entrance. And we said, since we tried to build this for the future, we said it's easier, doesn't cost much more to build a basement now for storage. It's much more difficult and more expensive to do it afterwards. So we added a staircase here leading to a basement, and we have options. We can do a basement just under this kitchen, which is about 2,300 square feet. We can do a larger basement to cover the kitchen area and the community hall, which will be probably around 6,000 feet of storage for the basement. And we can use it. I mean, we can use it for the festival. We can use it for, we want to think ministry. If we want to host a soup kitchen, maybe you can, down the road, we want to provide some aid for housing. The limits it's really the sky, as they say. So finally, this is the road view of the church. So this is what people would see when they drive by. They see, and again, going back to the nice blending of modern approach and more traditional look to the Orthodox. We wanted to see, when people drive by, they will know it's an Orthodox church. This is the side. Again, this is a front view and entrance to the office and the hall. Again, this is an aerial shot. So I'm going to let you digest a little bit. What I printed out here. I have here the elevation, and I have the site plan and the floor plan of the buildings for you to review. Now, what we are planning to do is we are going to email this presentation out once we process the video. We will email you this PowerPoint presentation so you can review the pictures at your own pace to kind of be able to provide some educated opinions and some educated feedback. Right now, take time, look through the pictures, look through the files that we're going to send out. In October, Nancy offered $25,000 donation in memory of her husband. And then at the General Assembly, Bob and Teresa Underwood had offered to match the donation, so they offered another $25,000. So as of the General Assembly, we had $50,000 in the building fund for seed money. Bob's challenge was whatever you raise between now and December 31st, I will match it. So we really had October, November, about 2 months and a half. And he said, let's see. So he said you have to raise at least 50,000. And I said, okay, we'll try.
Oh, you can call him.
He's golfing.
Hi, Mother.
Hello, Bob.
Hi there.
You're on the speaker and with the parish here doing the presentation for the church.
Oh, hi, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year for everybody.
Hell, thank you. Same to you guys. And same to you for Teresa.
Okay.
How's the presentation work?
I think it went well. We'll see.
You have a way to send it to me?
Absolutely. We'll send it out to everybody. We recorded it.
Excellent. That's great to hear. Well, I hope everybody is doing well there. We're all doing well down here. We're going to look forward to see Roger, Nancy, and the Beamises next week. So get the personal news direct from home that way.
Well, Bob, we are just getting ready to tell everybody how much we were able to raise. I know you know the numbers, so don't even try to fake a surprise. We know that we do.
Yeah, I do know, and I would like to express a great satisfaction on the part of Teresa and I, and we're very proud of the effort that everybody's has put into that to get our funding started for this wonderful church experience.
Yes, as you were saying that, I pulled up the number that was raised, and I have a little thermometer here on the screen saying that the goal was to raise $50,000, and the final total raised was $149,866, coming from about 50 people out of 60 families. So I think that's a great level of participation.
That is wonderful, and we're very, very pleased with that, and we're very happy that we could be part of that whole program. So congratulations to everybody. We're on our way.
All right. Thank you very much, Bob, for everything. We're stretching
Okay.
this a little bit.
That's okay. We'll have to do it again. It's probably not over yet. Okay.
Please him even more. Congratulate him on being a Spartan.
Oh, the Trinity is sending you congratulations for being a Spartan.
That goes without saying. Thanks, Dennis. We really appreciate it.
Watch the Michigan basketball team. Watch out.
Okay, Bob. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you for everything you do for this parish.
You're entirely welcome. We look forward to seeing you guys in a few months.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
So, right now, the total, as Bob is a man of word, he said he will match this amount of $150,000. So that 150 plus Bob's 150 is 300 plus the 50 or initial. We will have in our building fund $350,000. And I can tell you the donations ranged from $100 to $50,000. And we had, 100, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 25,000, it's not it's not about the amount, but it's about the participation, and I think reaching almost what is 50 out of 60. Who's good at math? What percentage that is? 83%. I think it's a very, very good percentage. Take time to look at the pictures. Please don't remove them from here. We are planning to put them on the wall so people have access to them. You will receive an email with a PowerPoint. You'll receive emails with this copy. I may edit some of the side conversation or may leave it here, but it's a journey. We have to be in 100%. If not, we should stop now. We have to grow. We have to grow closer to each other. We have to lay aside differences. We are not Greek, we're not Russians, we are not Romanians, we are Archangel Gabriel Orthodox Church under the Greek Archdiocese, but ultimately we are who we are. The church doesn't look Greek, the church doesn't look Russian. The church doesn't look like the Lutheran, Methodist, or any other church down the road. It has to be who we are. And again, it's going to be a journey of self-discovery. If we want to build something that represents us, we have to know who we are. We have to define who we are. So that's the journey that we start. And that's the best part of building a church. And I'm going to finish with a quote from a book I'm reading about building a church. A pastor says, in one of the chapters, he said that when I started building a church, I thought that my community will build a church. It turned out that the church built my community. And that was the best quote that I want to leave you with. God bless our endeavors, and I look forward for your input. As long as it's respectful and constructive, I will welcome it. Okay?